Sue and Craig have equity in their home, plus some savings in the bank. They decided to buy a second property as a tenanted investment. They got advice from Toowoomba's Edge Lending, because Edge Lending are the experts in borrowing to buy investment property.
Hi everyone, Scott from Edge Specialist Advice Network. I hope you're all well. Hey, today I'm coming in to you from Castel de Romet, which is one of the famous old castles on a beachhead at Lloret de Mar, which is, I guess, just outside Barcelona in España. And today I wanted to quickly touch base on inflation. Now, inflation has a real concern for most people without them even really understanding what inflation is. All we know is that every time we go to the grocery store, pay a bill, in a few months, 6 months, 12 months, it's probably going to be more expensive, and we just accept that as what they call inflation. Now, I want to take you through the concept really quickly, and then I want to make you understand how it's built into the system and what you can do to try and mediate some of the issues. Right? In economics terms, the word inflation actually means an increase in the volume of money in the world, or an increase in the money supply. So they call that M2 money supply, right? So inflation actually means there's more money in the system. And so the causation or the symptom of inflation is your grocery bill or your car insurance or everything you do goes up in price. So that's not actually inflation. Inflation is actually the increase in the money system. A rise in prices is the symptom of an increase in the money system. So how does money get increased all the time? It's borrowed into existence. So every time the government says, hey, look, you know what, we don't have enough money from the tax we've collected to pay for all the things we've got to pay for, roads, hospitals, all the politicians and the government workers, wages, pensions, all those sort of things. What we're going to do is we're going to borrow another 500 billion from China or pension funds overseas, or Singaporean pension fund, whatever it is. That 500 billion has been made. It's just been created. It's been borrowed into existence. And so that is inflationary. Now, if you pause to think about that, every Western government runs what they call a deficit. So every year they have to borrow more money into existence, increase the money supply, so that they can pay the bills or pay for the promises that they've created. And therefore, the symptom is a rise in prices across the board of everything. So now that you understand what that is, you know that every year this is going to happen. Governments are built on increasing the money supply by increasing the debt, because they've made promises that they can't afford. They never had the money for it. You know, think of age pensions, think of free hospital care, think of anything. Okay, so once we understand that that's built into the system, and for the system to continue, it has to be inflationary. Money has to increase and increase and increase every year. You can accept begrudgingly that inflation is going to be part of your life forever. Now, what is going to be inflationary? So, oh Scott, this is really bad. Like all my goods and everything I buy, everything I spend money on is going to go up every year. What do I do? Here's an easy one. What if I had $5,000 or whatever it is sitting around, and you said, Scott, should I invest this money? I might say, go out and buy 10 years worth of razors. You know it's going to be more every year, and that's a pretty good investment. You'll make a real good return on that. Maybe go out and buy a year's worth of firewood, because next year you know it's going to be dearer. All right, that's just little things for your household costs that you can do. If you accept the premise, like we do, that inflation is built into the system, is part of the system. Without inflation, the system collapses. And I think they're trying to at least kick the can down the road before the system does collapse, big default change and everything, to probably about 2030, 2032. That's mathematically when it really erupts. But until then, you know that inflation is going to be baked into the system. Now, where is the good part of inflation? Or where can I mediate some of the really terrible things that inflation creates? Inflation works in cycles a bit like this. Hard assets inflate heavily with inflation. What's a hard asset? Real estate, farmland, gold and silver, precious metals, base metals. Okay, most commodities. Now, not oil all the time, because there's an abundance of oil in the world. We just haven't dug it up. There's like a ridiculous amount of oil. Oil could be $5 a barrel if they brought all the oil out. They won't do that. They want to keep a lid on it so oil companies make profit. So don't count that as one of your commodities. But think of the things we just talked about: real estate, farmland, base metals, commodities, gold and silver especially, and even Bitcoin at the moment, because it is a limited resource, if you want to call it a resource. These are the things that really flight upwards with inflation. Okay, they're the first things to run, and we're starting to see that now. Soft commodities, think of coffee, squeezed orange juice, wheat, soybeans, all those sort of things, they'll run second. And your wages, like the little increase you're going to get from your employer every year, that'll run third. So you might get 2.5%, where the hard assets are running it between 10 and 20, and then your soft core assets probably run at 8%. So don't believe the governments when they say that inflation is 3%. That's a lie. That's not real at all. They just don't want you to realise that the system is made on inflation for a reason. So anyway, guys, I want us to take this as a base principle, that when we are investing, we know that inflation runs between really 8 to 15% across a range of things, and we need to know that they become some of our hurdle rates, and we also need to understand the assets that are going to float upwards with inflation. Every time your government borrows more money and creates more money in the system, you know those hard assets are the ones that are going to outperform, which is why, as investors, I always talk about having a large percentage of hard assets as part of your holistic net worth. All right, guys, I know that was a bit long-winded, but I thought it was really important to get out there. It's a hard and fast principle I want us to all to understand so that we can move forward with some more strategic things that as they come into play. I'm coming to you from Castel de Lloret, from Lloret de Mar in Barcelona. Sorry, guys, it's a bit tricky when you're Australian to speak any other language. I'll talk to you later on. All right, remember, life is a family sport. Give yours an edge. See ya.
Superannuation is every Australian's most important investment. The decisions you make now can have a large impact on when you can afford to retire and the lifestyle you'll enjoy when you do. There are so many companies to pick from for your super, but did you know that you can also manage it yourself? Edge Financial Services can help you take control of your super and plan for retirement with a self-managed super fund. There are many different ways for you to invest in your future. To find out more about investment strategies that will give you the edge in retirement, visit edge.net.au today.